Hαίrete and salvete, omnes. It's Tychon, the ancient Geeko-Roman, and I'm gonna do something kind of quick today because I don't have a lot of time because I'm moving into the part of my summer class where I have to start writing article reviews and write a preliminary abstract for my final paper. We're gonna go through something real quick today, and it's gonna be all about field school. So this isn't just classics specific, it's more specific to anyone who wants to study archaeology or anthropology. A lot of times field school will be part of your program, especially if you're an undergraduate. A lot of times now that's a requirement to graduate. I didn't end up doing my field school until I was between my master's in museum studies and my master's in classics. So if you don't end up going to anything until after you're done your bachelor's degree, you're fine. You don't have to worry about a specific time to go. But one of the things I want to talk about is things that you should definitely bring with you. So I want to just kind of go from head to toe on this. But I am wearing my Balkan Heritage Field School t-shirt that we got when we went. It has a really nice symbol on the back of their organization. And so we got this t-shirt for being in the field school. A lot of times field schools will give you a t-shirt. Part of me wanted to be like, can I just buy like 5 more so I have it for the whole week? But some of the other things you're gonna want to bring are a bucket hat, so something like this. A lot of people had fancier ones. I got mine for like probably $8 on Amazon, and so if you have something like this, that'll help, especially when you're out in the sun, because a lot of field schools will be during the summer. So also, if you have longer hair, letting it down will cover your neck. Otherwise, I would suggest one of the hats that have an attachment that can go down and cover your neck. Always, always, always wear sunscreen. I don't care if it's overcast or anything, wear sunscreen, especially if it's summertime where you're digging. Because I was in Bulgaria, it's right in the eastern area of Europe, and it was really hot, even on the days that it was like raining and it was only about 80 degrees. I made sure I wore sunscreen anyway. So that's another thing. The other things that I would suggest to bring just in case are bug spray and aloe. Those 2 things I made sure I brought with me. I got a big jug of aloe from Walmart, and it saved not just my skin, but a lot of the other people's, and I ended up just leaving it with the field school when I left. I was like, you guys can have this. I don't really want to bring it back home. I can get more back home, but since I was the only one who brought aloe, I was like, y'all can just keep it for the rest of the session because I'm not gonna need it, but I don't want anyone else have to suffer, because we were in an area where it was just a kind of tiny village, and if you didn't have anywhere to get that stuff, it was really important that you brought it with you. So I only brought like a travel size can of bug spray. I should have brought a bigger can of bug spray and a travel size can. So the travel size could fit within the regulations of a carry-on bag, because one of the things that I learned from traveling before was with your carry-on bag, you want to put in at least 1 or 2 outfits just in case the flight loses your checked bag. So if you've never traveled before, have the basics in your carry-on that you know you will need. I wore my boots onto the plane so that way they wouldn't take up room, and that way they would be on me so I wouldn't lose my boots. I made sure I had my knee pads in the carry-on, and basic toiletries and bug spray, aloe, that kind of thing. So I mentioned knee pads, but we'll get back to those. And then the next thing you might want to have are sunglasses. The people I was with, a lot of them had transition sunglasses. I didn't have those. I've never had transition glasses. I'm too worried that they won't transition back all the way and then I won't be able to see properly. So I tend to be that I'm gonna switch my glasses person, so I'll switch them as I go. I usually keep these in my car because I live in Vegas, so I need to have them on almost every time I drive. All right, and so then with your shirts, aside from t-shirts, it's really good to invest in something like this. These types of shirts have venting on your armpits and on the back. So these are really good for when you're digging. Now, I know this is black, and people will probably like, well, Tycon, isn't that super hot when you're out in the field? And actually, I was okay. Even on the hotter days that I wore this, I was fine. Because it's moisture wicking inside. It's got kind of a specific type of lining, so your sweat gets wiped up as it goes. And these can be kind of expensive. I was super lucky, and I found this at a thrift shop at a Goodwill, and I got it for $5. But if you're not as lucky as I was, you can be paying up to like $60-ish for something like that. So if you can't afford one, maybe ask for, you know, a parent to like at least get you one. One will be good because you'll be able to wear it on the days that you feel you particularly need it, on the hotter days. I would suggest a lighter color. The only reason I ended up with a black one is because I got it from a thrift shop. So t-shirts are good. A lot of people I was with wore tank tops. The more you cover with a shirt, the less sunscreen you're gonna have to use, and that's honestly the argument I made with myself as I was going through all of this. And then for pants, I wore cargos the whole time I was there. I brought 2 pairs of long cargos, and I had a couple shorts like this that had some nice pockets and were very comfortable. But for that, I would suggest more long pants. I brought 2 pairs of long pants and maybe 5 pairs of shorts, thinking I would wear more shorts, but I ended up wearing the pants a lot more because you're getting into all the dirt and the mud and everything. It was muddy when we first started because we ended up doing this when it started raining, and it was very unusual for it to be raining in Bulgaria in the summer. I did this a year ago now, so it was very unusual, but I was like caked in mud the first day. And you're gonna end up wearing those pairs of pants in a row, so like usually you'll have somewhere to put them that won't get everywhere. I was super spoiled my first field school. We stayed in a nice little hotel which is attached to our winery, kind of in the middle of a village. So we had like balconies and stuff, and I was able to hang my pants over the balcony. Once they dried, I was able to just bring them back in, and I would put them on, and even though there was like caked on dirt or whatever, I just wore them to the field school because it was just gonna get dirty again anyway. We did have a laundry service, but that's not always gonna be the case for field school, so that's one of the other things you should check. What are the amenities that are coming with the field school? Do you get room and board? Do you only get room? Are meals included? Part of the reason I picked the one I picked, aside from the fact that it was called, you know, the land of Dionysus, which is part of the reason I ended up going to that one, is the food was included in our package, so I didn't have to worry about ordering food separately unless it was the day they were serving something I was allergic to because I can't eat fish or shellfish. So because I was in Bulgaria, that was a meal a couple times. So they ended up giving me like this really nice potato dish instead with sausage, and I was fine with that because I'm super Polish. I'm not really that much of a stranger to a bunch of sausage and potatoes. So the next thing, over your cargos, if that's what you end up wearing, there are people who just had jeans, you know, shorts. It all depends on your comfort level. I personally was more comfortable with wearing long cargo pants the whole time, and I think that's what I will end up doing the next time I go to a field school is, so a lot of field schools will provide kneeling pads for you, but I brought these. They're not professional archaeology knee pads, they're just like gardening foam things, but these are good to have extra just in case the knee pads run out. They have like kneeling mats usually, but not necessarily enough of them for all of the people in the field school. So what I ended up doing is I wore these most of the time, and then I wouldn't have to worry about whether or not there was any kneeling pads left. And part of the reason I did this is because I have a knee injury on my right leg, and I couldn't go a day without having something to kneel on, or else I wouldn't be able to walk later. So this helped me personally because I was able to wear these, and then I wouldn't have a problem. It was also really easy because with the kneeling pads, when you got up and walked away, they were just staying there and like sitting in the dirt and everything. These attached to my knees, so I wouldn't have to worry about forgetting them. Once I put them on, they stayed on until we were about to leave, and then I would put them in a bag. A lot of times the field school will tell you things that you need to bring. For example, if you're doing an underwater field school, a lot of times you're going to have to bring your own diving equipment. Aside from like an oxygen tank, I think they don't expect you to bring, but everything else you're pretty much expected to have your own, like snorkel, flippers, suit, everything like that. But just double check what your field school is providing for you and try to fill in the gaps of the things that you think you'll need. Like, I didn't need to bring any trowels with me. They had all of that there. They had all of the tools that we needed. I didn't need to bring anything aside from stuff like my hat and my knee pads and my sunglasses. And so the last thing is get boots that will be good for digging. I don't think I would have been okay if I had just brought regular sneakers. These are the boots I ended up having, and I really liked them. They're the Columbia like hiking boots. Yes, that is dirt from a year ago. I still haven't cleaned them off. So yeah, this is my Bulgarian dirt from my field school from last June and July. So that's the last thing you really should bring, is having the boots, because with that, it's really important, especially when you're walking around a lot, have really good support for both your feet and your ankles. I ended up walking a lot in Sofia at the end of our field school. I had an extra day, and me and one of the other people I field school with, we both decided, well, we're both in Sofia an extra day, let's go see the city. I wore my slides, my flip-flops, and so they after a while my whole ankle was just like a sausage because I was walking too much without proper support on my feet. And you don't want that to happen, especially if you're walking like 5,000 steps a day, because you guys are going to see all of the sights on top of doing everything else. The other things that I had brought, or wish I had brought with me, included a European sized folder. So standard American sized notebooks are different than the ones they have in Europe. So when I was getting all the handouts, they were longer than my notebook, so I had to keep folding them at the bottom. So wherever you end up going, try to get the same size notebook and or folder. So if you get handouts, things like that, make sure you have those with you. The other things I got, well, before I went, was a guidebook to Bulgaria. And then I got phrase books. Phrase books aren't the best way to be learning a language ever. The only couple things I learned that I remember in Bulgarian, two of which are borrowed from other languages. Благодаря is thank you very much. Merci is a very informal way of saying thanks, which it's spelled differently, but it's pronounced the same way you do in French. And you can say ciao to say bye, which is Italian. So they do have some borrowed words that I was able to just be like, oh, okay, I'll remember that. But other than those few words, I don't remember anything. Another thing I wish I had learned before I went was the alphabet in Bulgaria is the Cyrillic alphabet. That was invented by Bulgarians. A lot of people think it was Russians, but it was invented by Bulgarian people, and that was a little hard for me because it was hard to remember what things we're reading. And I can read other languages that have different alphabets. Like, I've learned Japanese and ancient Greek, but when I got to Bulgaria, I was like, oh no, I've made a mistake because I didn't figure that out. Another thing that I made a mistake about that you should really, really think about before you go and double check when you go to a different country, even if it's in Europe, double check to make sure they actually use the euro, because the website for the Balkan Heritage Field School has things in American dollars and euro, probably because a lot of the people who come to that field school are American or from other parts of Europe. Because it was in the euro, before I went, I didn't check. I got all of my money in euro, and when I got there, Bulgarians use a different type of currency. So I ended up having to exchange my euro for the Bulgarian currency, and I lost some stuff in the transfer because it went from American to euro to, I can't remember what the Bulgarian money was called, but they were one of the only countries that don't use the euro even though they are in the EU. So double check to make sure you're getting the right currency before you go, because that was a big pain in the butt for me, because I ended up having to withdraw a bunch of money from an ATM at the airport and having to go to the exchange spot in the airport to get the rest of my money exchanged. So that was really frustrating. Other than that, make sure you're wearing your hat, make sure you're wearing your sunglasses, make sure you got your sunscreen on, but mostly have fun when you're in field school. Try to make friends. I had a really wonderful group of people for my first field school, and now I'm worried about going to another one, because if they're not as great as the first thing, I'll feel like, oh no, my first experience was too amazing and now I can't really compare it. But I think that all of you will have fun if you go. Just make sure that you take care of your skin, you take care of your feet, and you make sure that you are learning, you are attending all the lectures, you are listening to the field supervisor, and try to learn a little bit of the language if you don't know it before you go. A lot of these are conducted in English, but it does really look good if you try to speak with the locals. We had one guy on our trip. He was very good about making friends with everyone. He made friends with everyone. He was very respectful of everyone. He learned so much about everybody just by talking to the village. He would go and get snacks in the middle of the village. Oh, speaking of snacks, I forgot one more thing. So a drawstring bag is good to have. I got this from like the dollar store before I went. So it's like real messed up. I bought 2 of them before I went because I knew they would be messed up. But when I went to go get when I went to go get all of these things this morning for my video, I have Bulgarian candy. I completely forgot about that. I bought while I was there, that I completely didn't know I had put in this bag. So now I have Bulgarian candy in my office. So yeah, I think that's it. If you made it all the way through the video, please give it a like, subscribe if you want to see more videos like that, and let me know in the comments if you have any other suggestions for field school that I missed. I'm pretty much going over just the basics, and if you need any advice, please feel free to ask me questions in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I see it. Alright, everyone have a great week, and I will see you next time.